Yeah.
And let me turn this down. All right. Oops. Helps if I open that. There we go. All right, guys. Welcome to another scintillating episode of Max's Models Livestream. Live from Jacksonville. It's Max's Models. Before we get started, the standard voice check. Ken, Steve, Ken, you first. Since you've been,
Checking
promoted to
voice.
Admiral.
not an admiral. You got to have more than one boat to be an admiral.
Well, you've got a dinghy that makes you a Commodore.
Dinghies don't count. That's why they're called dinghies.
Oh, okay. Steve, voice check.
Voice check, check voice.
Hey, Ricky. Well, I got
until the highways literally start to fall apart.
I got my well-deserved cough medicine because this is how I roll. And so, okay, they can hear us. All right, guys. First off, you know what? Let me just shock everybody with a full-size picture of me to begin with. Whee! Okay, so.
Actually, we want to keep them.
This will scare away the weak of heart and of limited constitution. So, here's the dealio, guys. I just flew in from Puerto Rico. We got up about...
That's why his arms are so tired.
Yeah, I wasn't going to say it. But we kicked off about 4... We woke up about 4 a.m. East Coast time, 5 a.m. Puerto Rico time, and did a Punta Cana turn and then came up here. And
good job on going all Godzilla on the pineapple.
Oh, you like that, huh? Yeah. I actually thought about it. You can't leave there with fresh fruit. And I was thinking, if there was a way I could get one of those things and bring it here and put like the top half of a Godzilla in there, and we got to have a a way to. We need to make a Godzilla cocktail called a Godzilla, and it coming out of a pineapple like a volcano would be awesome.
Yeah, and have it smoking.
Little dry ice, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I got home. What?
Robert Austin wants to know: are all the doors still attached to the plane?
Yes, I fly an Airbus. They actually bolt everything together. By the way, guys, a couple of YouTubers out there in the aviation world have done some very in-depth studies, and I think was it Windover Productions that did one, but it was really good. It went in that's all still under investigation, but it does look like there was a factory defect, and I don't want to get in the weeds on that because I don't know, a lot of speculation, but it does look like that was a factory defect that didn't get caught. And when I pulled into Orlando today, since I don't fly for United, I can say this: when I pulled into Orlando today, which, by the way, literally, guys, I got home like 45 minutes ago or an hour ago, cobbled together something to talk about, which, by the way, I'll owe a big thanks to Paul Adams in New Zealand, because he's been sending me a bunch of stuff that I was planning to make videos out of, and I decided what we would do is I just downloaded these real quick and just kind of make little note files out of the emails he sent me, so that we got something that resembles a show tonight that we'll talk about. It's some pretty wild stuff. Very unusual. It's stuff I wasn't familiar with in the kit model world. But before we get to the good stuff on models, I will regale my little story. So, we get up, we do the Punta Cana, turn back to San Juan, then we fly up to Orlando. And we're in the 321, the long one. This is the Econo box with 200 seats. And we had jump seaters, so I had 2 in the cockpit in addition to my regular crew. I mean, every seat in that airplane was full, 208 warm bodies on that airplane, and I'm not counting infants if there were any. And I'm kind of thinking to myself, does the company really want to let me go with one of the shiny new 321s? But the flight, except for because there were so many bags, we were a little late getting the bags loaded. We got in almost on time. We got off almost on time. Got in almost on time. Everything went great. And as we were taxiing in, I look across the airfield. United has a maintenance facility at Orlando, and it's across the airfield, and a huge hangar, big United. And I counted 6 airplanes parked out front, and I tell my FO, hey, I don't think I've ever seen 6 United planes parked outside that hangar. And then was a 7th one pointed, it went right at us that was off, and he goes, those are 737 Maxes. And I was like, oh. Yeah, they're all down for inspections, making sure everything's tightened down. So I was like,
that stays put.
Yeah, so I was like, yeah, that little visual is worth 1,000 reports. But anyway, so as soon as we got there, I said my goodbyes to everybody, got out to the car, headed home, and so I could get here in time to get ready for tonight. Walked into the house about 45, 50 minutes ago. You know, hello to the wife and all the, you know, go over what's been gone. I've only been gone a couple of days. Then, you know, scurried in here. She's very understanding. She's holding dinner for me till after the show, so we'll probably finish on time. And so that was but thanks to Paul, I had something kind of prepackaged that I was able to cobble together in 30 minutes. So anyway, you know, although I proudly, you know, boast the lowest production values on the internet, that doesn't mean I don't want people to have good material and a fun time. So with that being said,
maybe she could open the door and just throw like some meat in at you, so you'd have something to eat while you're doing your show.
but I no, Ken, some of us don't eat during the show. I don't think they want to see or hear me masticate. So anyway, about the Godzilla pineapple video yesterday, I walked down the beach. As I said, my favorite place was closed, but I saw this guy with his pineapple drink, and it's basically a gargantuan pina colada. And I go up there and I tell the guy, you know, what they do is, for a nominal upcharge, they put a little Patron in it. And that's what and by the way, I did bring back the umbrella and the Puerto Rican flag and the little test tube. That test tube is what they measure the Patron with when they pour it in. Unfortunately...
by the way, I told my wife you took all those things. She goes, yes, a true modeler at heart.
Mm-hmm. Every one of us has left the steakhouse with a little flag in our pocket. That's going on the back of my destroyer. Or going on my lunar landing diorama. But hey... I remember Saturday Night Live when we had just landed that thing on the, which one was it, Mariner? The one that landed on Mars and was scooping soil samples. And you know you're a model builder when they had made a little mock-up of it to use on camera with Chevy Chase. And I was like, the scoop, I could tell you the scoop is a cut-up soda can.
Kind of did that one on the cheap, didn't
Yeah,
they?
well, it's Saturday Night Live. But anyway, it hasn't been good since I got rid of Scred and Gorsh. But anyway, you know, the Muppets. But anyway, the best line they ever had is he's talking about their junkyard is facing a fiscal emergency. He goes, what does that mean? It means no more men to deliver the garbage. Anywho,
we're supposed to laugh now.
Laugh track okay. Insert here. But the thing is that what was it? Oh yeah, the drink. So when I finish my drink, of course, you know, I love pineapple, so I'm not throwing away good pineapple. I ripped it. Boy, did I get some stares. Of course, I was, you know, totally did not care. Although it did almost give freezer burn to my thumb and my lip. But the thing I didn't mention was that when he pours a little bit of Patron in there, he'd already filled it up with their slushy mix. And a bunch of it dribbled down the side. Only about half a shot went in the thing. The other half went to the side. So he handed it to me. First thing I started doing was licking the side of the pineapple. I paid for this. I'm going to get my Patron. And people are looking at me licking the outside of the...
It's on video.
Oh, yeah.
Get my liquor's worth out of this thing.
Yeah, that's right. But people are kind of looking at me like... And I'm like, I'm not going to explain to them. Let them just wonder. You know? And I was saying, when we do model citizens, we've got to incorporate that because, you know, what I'll do is have me in the background doing that, and one of you guys there just going, you know, those things are sharp on the outside, and I'm going to look at you and go, it's worth it. And when I lick it, I'll go, ow, ow, ow. But anyway, so that's the pineapple thing, and anyway, so tamales. Our good friend Paul Adams down in New Zealand sent me a bunch of stuff, and I guess the first thing we'll talk about are Gangster car kits. I had talked about them briefly, and he sent me, and I knew there were others that I just didn't have time to find, so he sent me some stuff on them. Of course, there's now. This one, the Metropolitan Police Town Car, okay, except maybe for the police commissioner, I'm pretty sure no cop ever patrolled the streets in a town car, all right? Obviously, this was just them, you know, they had this kit, and they're like, hey, let's find a way to remarket the thing, you know, which I don't blame them for. And, you know, maybe the police commissioner or something. But what I find interesting is how they graphed in real photos of people with the model of the car. Now,
that's obviously the police chief. That's his girlfriend in the back.
Yeah, no. Mistress Ken, get it right.
Okay.
But one thing I was thinking was just like, well, one thing's for sure, if that is a patrol car, Metropolitan Police Department, that's at the Beverly Hills, are the most corrupt department around. But, you know, my guess is, it's for Minicraft, my guess is it probably didn't do so hot unless somebody wanted a town car, because that's kind of a ludicrous notion for a kit model. But, you know, at least they're trying, you know, to do something with it. But I just don't understand what made them decide that this was a good idea. I mean, it might have done better as a limo service or a taxi cab. At least it kind of has that look, you know. But, you know, Metropolitan.
Lance just said it'd be great if one of those people watching Max destroy the pineapple later saw him enter the cockpit of their flight.
To which my response would be a resounding, what? Pardon me if you don't know how to enjoy an overnight on the island.
Tell me you never licked a pineapple.
What, you never licked a pineapple? My God, what kind of sheltered life have you lived? Next thing you know, you know what, I ain't even going to go there. That was a little, I almost let one go that was a little over the line. But anyway,
Garfield says NBC came out with a series similar to these kits called Last 60s.
Oh.
Excuse me, called Gangbusters.
Yeah, no, we're going to get there. They're here. We're going to get to that. Paul says those figures are cardboard cutouts that were included. I got to switch glasses. Good God, I'm getting old. Were cardboard cutouts which were in each of the 3 Hard Times Highways 1/16 scale cards. Okay, so I guess you actually got those with them. Well, that's a nice touch. Yeah, I can't argue with that. Because I bought the NPC Jeep for, the Godzilla because it had a cardboard cutout Godzilla. Although I really think they needed to include a plastic one. I think they're really missing a golden opportunity there. Okay. We all know the kit I'm talking about. The NPC Jeep with Godzilla on it from Godzilla vs. Astro Monster. It's just their 106 millimeter recoilless rifle Jeep repackaged with an extra decal sheet. So you have the Earth Defense Force or Godzilla Defense Force decals. I built it. But hey, by the way, it is a good kit. It is a good Jeep kit. Okay, and the recoilless rifle. What are you snickering at?
Craig Swain says, should have just said, I picked the wrong day to quit eating pineapple.
But I want to ask you guys a question while we're on this. And NPC, somebody should send this to round 2 because this could be considered market research. We got 109 people watching. The NPC kit that comes with Godzilla. Let's say that they were to include maybe the Polar Lights Godzilla or a new Godzilla mold. It would be off scale. It'd have to be forced perspective, but it could be 12, 16 inches tall with kit models of the power lines and stuff instead of the paper stuff. Now that would be a lot of styrene. That'd be a big box. It'd be an expensive kit. But how much would you be willing to pay for it? And I'm going to say they could sell them at $99. Steve, what say you?
That's a lot of money.
Well, what do you think people would be willing to pay to get a...
I think $79.
Yeah, I could live with... I could swing for that. Yeah, they could... And because they're going to make money at that rate. Because what does the thing cost a pop? $4?
Yeah, and they got the molds already.
Ken, well,
for the most part.
You don't build kaiju models, so... But I would like to hear from the audience how much they would pay for something like that. If they saw it. I mean, of course, obviously, it assumes that you're a Godzilla fan who's going to build a kaiju kit. Now, I know that some of the hardcore fans like Garfield are going to, and Paul are going to pay whatever it costs because this is right in our wheelhouse. But, hey, Rob. You guys write down in American dollars, or give me a conversion rate, what you think you would pay for that Jeep with an actual good size kit model of Godzilla and power lines and all this, so that you can make one awesome diorama. And I'm not seeing any dollar values pop up yet. I guess people are chewing on it. But 79 bucks, yeah, they could definitely make money at that. But it's got to be a good size Godzilla. It's got to be at least 12 inches tall. And I would, yeah, I'd say about 12 inches. Power lines would come in different scales and everything. And, hey, Fran. Oh, by the way, Fran, unless things change, I won't be doing the live stream next month from your place because that other trip got dropped. Somebody picked it up, so I'll be coming home. But I want to thank you for the offer. Although, if I run late, we might keep that as an alternative. Okay, here we go. 75 pounds, which is almost $60. Okay, well, it's...
Another one was 85. Could have killed us at 85.
85. All right. So we're all in the general ballpark. Around 80 bucks sounds right. Yeah. Yeah, the Godzilla's running 50 now. Yeah, they could clobber the world with that one.
Garfield says 150 tops.
I knew Garfield would go high because he's a kaiju fan, man. He's hardcore. And I'm going to be honest, don't tell anybody I said this. Let's keep this a secret between the 100 of us, but I'd probably pay that also. Hell, I'd probably do that just... thanks, Fran. I appreciate that. I really do. I would probably do it as much for the box art. It's got to have some awesome box art, though. Something new and fresh. And yeah, by the way, Fran, I'll keep that open in case we run late. So maybe I'll put my stuff in the car just in case. But
see, the thing that gets me is nobody has come out with a Godzilla -1 kit yet.
Well, they've barely gotten the figures out, so you know how long it takes to cut a mold for that kind of stuff, and that's assuming we can find somebody.
But they've had this movie in the works for 2 years. You would have thought that somebody would have jumped on this.
Has Tammy ever made a kaiju or Hasegawa?
Not that I know of in Tamiya, no.
I think Hasegawa's missing a golden opportunity because they've already got the Shinden. So
yeah.
Well, anyway, going back to the gangster cars, the next one, of course, we have the Acme Distillery Hoochmobile, which is oops, come on.
Jack Fleming says $100 and a pineapple included.
The Hoochmobile, obviously, they just took their panel truck model and put some decals on it, and I guess they have the cardboard cutouts with that too, but still, clever. Remarketing.
With Godzilla as a chauffeur, 200.
I actually tried to shove my little Shin Godzilla that I have right here into into one of my GTOs to take a picture, but it just didn't fit. And I wasn't going to cut it up. Now this one we got to talk about.
It'd be really cool is if they put a cardboard cutout of Max in these kids.
Max it out. I appreciate they can, but I really don't think that would help with sales.
Big box,
Now, this particular kit takes a little explanation. Now, you guys have heard me talk how much I love AIP, American Independent Pictures. Was it Zarkov? Was it Zarkov and
Nicholson and Arkoff?
Nicholson and Arkoff. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I just being an independent wannabe filmmaker, I just respect what they did. But this is a '32 Chrysler redone as Ma Barker's getaway car from the movie Ma Barker with Shelley Long.
Winters.
Shelley Winters.
Not
okay.
Long.
No, not at all. Now, guys, we were talking about this on our little pre-production briefing, which means the 10 minutes I talked to Ken and Steve before we went live. I don't know if you guys have seen this movie. It came out about, I think, 71. It's a Roger Corman production, and I say that with respect. He's still around. He's almost, 90-something years old, almost 100. But anyway,
Can I cut in for a sec?
Yeah.
Nathan says, I can remember back in the day when Top Gun came out with the original Top Gun, and I remember Testers came out with a 3-model kit box set, 1/72nd scale F-14, and the trainer aircraft and the fake Russian.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Remember that?
Yeah.
I gave that to you?
You gave me the one that had the F5 and the F5 and the F14. I still have it. It's actually on the shelf in the other room. But I took it off that inverted stand because those cheap wires, those easy to bend wires, were too easy to bend. The F14 kept collapsing on top of the F5. And I was one of about 100 people to do that diorama. But I do have both of those airplanes right here. I built them really quick, so at a distance they look fine. They may have made the Fine Scale Modeler website. I'm not sure. A couple of my models have the UFO Interceptor, the Freedom 7 Mercury Capsule, Friendship 7. But the only model I ever had actually make the magazine was my little Aurora Cherokee. God, it took me weeks to get that thing. That was really difficult. And and it turns out that one of the reasons they chose it was because Fine Scale Modeler, when it comes to their viewer gallery, the reader gallery, they like to get something a little different from time to time, and they hadn't seen anything like that in years. It's a small civilian plane done to match the box art. And that's the one. That's October of 2 years ago, I think. And that was the one where, of course, I posed it by the box, and they really liked that. And even though that airplane has got a lot of stuff wrong with the shape of it, but I don't care. God, that was so difficult to do. On 1/72nd scale, it was like rigging these Douglas World Cruisers. Anyway, so back to this car. This car, the 32 Chrysler, which, first off, if you ever read about Ma Barker and the gang, all the stuff in the movie's butter fiction. And it's considered a 1-star movie. And apparently, it not only but the thing is, it had a really good cast. People like Pat Hingle and Robert De Niro, and I mean, it had a excellent cast. Shelley Winters, and these were known even back then. The young actors were getting some traction, but Siskel and Ebert and the rest of them just ripped it apart as a total 1-star movie, very poorly directed, blah 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 blah. But apparently, it dealt with some, especially for the early 70s. Really, really wrong adult stuff. We're talking like Deliverance. Weird. And I hope you guys know what I mean by that, because I'm not going to go into any detail. And as Steve and I were commenting earlier, if you watch this particularly bloody, gory, and other stuff movie, you're like, are you guys sure that's what you want to sell models based on? And I'm guessing the kids bought the model because the parents hadn't seen the movie. And all that implies.
I can't think the kids went and saw the movie either.
Yeah. Well, that's back when Hollywood was getting into the gangster exploitation films.
So how many of these kits did NPC sell?
I haven't a clue. My guess is probably not that many.
I don't think a lot.
Well, Ken, here's a way you can tell. Go out on eBay and see what one costs. Yep. And if it's cheap, it means nobody bought it.
Hold on.
We're gonna Steve is doing some real-time research.
All right. I knew we kept them around for some reason.
That's the only reason.
I got to keep him around until I get those photos back.
Yeah, well, it'll be a long time.
Yeah, well. He's a New Yorker. He knows how the game is played. Never give up your leverage.
Richie's Model Garage says, trying to watch the live stream and watch Monarch is harder than it is.
Oh man, we lost our Apple Plus, Paramount or Apple Plus. So the last of Monarch I saw is I can't say anything because people might not have seen it. I'm a couple episodes behind. I have to go over my sister. She still has an account. You'd think with what I make, I'd just go ahead and get one, but I'm just too cheap. We're going to get to the Bonnie and Clyde cars. Not to worry.
That's why you have money, Max.
Well, speaking of which, okay. there were a couple of Bonnie and Clyde kit models, and although
There's
those are,
one of these Mop Barkers kits up on eBay.
mm-hmm.
It's $70, no bids.
Yeah, he's not going to get any either.
No, so people actually do have good taste.
Tell him you'll give him $15 if he keeps the box. Anyway,
Yeah.
Then you got the Bonnie and Clyde ones, and the
Oh yeah, that picture of the guy shooting the machine gun over top the driver's head is so realistic.
yeah, I guess Bonnie's supposed to be the wheelman or wheel person, but anyway, of course that is a kind of stunt they pull. But anywho, let's see, and
Yeah,
the
I would
32
not
Ford
want to be
Roadster.
sitting underneath the barrel of that machine gun as it's going off.
Yeah, having been in that position, that is not a pleasant position to be in.
No. Your ears would be ringing for weeks.
Now here's one that's marginally more, plausible, and
No bids. After this live stream, it'll have a run.
I wouldn't count on it.
Yeah, it'll go to $55.
Yeah. I mean, you can ask whatever you want, but I love how they put the bullet holes in the paper. Actually, believe it or not, though, this particular scene is reminiscent of one of the scenes from the movie, and where they bust out, and they did make an escape under fire like that from the police. So at least this one has a little bit of history going for it. In fact, while we're on this, let me bore you guys a little bit about ballistics and cars. And Steve, you can back me up on this. Those old cars, because of the limited knowledge of metallurgy, even the sheet metal tended to be made out of steel.
Yep. And they're a lot thicker than the metal in the cars today.
Yes. And what happened was, Bonnie and Clyde, I think it may have been after this breakout, the cops were, laying waste to them with, rifles and shotguns and 38s and everything. Well, when they found the car, and I think it might have been Hamer, the guy that eventually killed him, they found the car and they realized that their rounds were not going through the doors. They shot the cars up, but the doors were working as bullet stops. You got to remember, these weren't modern 357 Magnums. These were 1930s vintage police 38s, probably maybe 800 foot per second, 158 grain loads. The shotguns were getting stopped by it because shotguns they have a lot of blast and a lot of pellets. They don't have a lot of velocity, so they don't have a lot of penetration. And
each pellet doesn't have a lot of mass either.
Right. So this is why Hamer and them wound up using Colt monitors, which is basically the Colt answer to the Browning automatic rifle in 30-06. And when you look at when they were actually killed, most of those guys were carrying semi-automatic rifles or full automatics in true rifle caliber. Not because the pistols weren't doing the job. Because a Tommy gun is a 45 ACP automatic Colt pistol. It was designed as a trench broom for the First World War, although it didn't get around to seeing any combat. But Colonel Thompson invented it. He was looking for something for a GI to drop into a trench and open full automatic fire on a bunch of Germans that were 5 feet away with a heavy pistol caliber round, okay? Shotguns would have been popular if we'd had brass shells back then, but the paper shells we used tended to rot, so the shotguns tended to malfunction and jam, which is why the shotguns weren't more popular for trench work. But anyway, point I'm getting at is that they realized that they were basically being outgunned, and Clyde and Bonnie had raided an armory and stolen a bunch of Browning automatic rifles, so they had a lot of fire. In fact, one of their favorite ways of making an escape when they were running away, if the cops were chasing, was just to hang a BAR out the back window and shoot the engine block out of the car chasing them. That was effective. And so that's why eventually, once they went to rifle calibered, true 30-06 calibered firearms, they took them in an ambush. And despite what you see in the movie Highwaymen, which, by the way, is a movie I have a great respect for, they did not. I don't think they came. They didn't. They never came out on the road and tried to stop them. They just lit them up. It was a military style ambush, and that's what they had coming. But anyway, this is actually a more realistic box art and I think more true to history. and it
Yeah,
it's
driving
not.
through that building is really realistic.
Well, it's just a wooden, slat wood garage door. They were busting out of the garage, and they did make a breakout like that. I don't know if they drove to the door or opened it or what, but I know those cars weren't that powerful. In fact, when I saw the Bonnie and Clyde death car at that casino in Nevada, it's not in Vegas. It was at the border with the California border. Um, they had up on like a display a blow up of a letter that Clyde wrote to Henry Ford, talking about how he always loved
No,
this.
no, no,
Huh?
no. That was Dillinger who wrote the letter to Henry Ford.
Oh, it was Dillinger. I'm okay, Steve. Since you're on there,
Because
tell him the story.
Dillinger used to steal Ford V8 cars because they were so much faster than everything else that was out there. And he wrote a letter to Henry Ford telling him how he appreciated the fact that he had his company invent the flathead V8.
Yes, I stand corrected. You are right. And
Somebody thought too much of themselves.
well, Ford refused to use the letter as an endorsement, but I think he missed a golden opportunity.
What, are you kidding me? Today they'd have that thing on the internet like it was nothing. You know,
That, no, hold on. No, Steve, that would be like having a terrorist go, why do I carry Glocks? Because they work. There are some people you just don't want associated with your product.
They have the evening news to do that for them.
Yeah. By the way, guys, Gaston Glock, the inventor of the Glock pistol, just passed away in his 90s. And yes, he was the victim of an attempt on his life. And he survived it and knocked out the guy, with his fist, knocked out the guy who tried to do him in. Who had been a French wrestler. The Europeans.
Now that's like an oxymoron, French wrestler.
Well, hey, Andre the Giant was French.
That's like saying French patriot. It's the same thing.
Hey, there are plenty of patriotic French. They just surrender without notice. There's the Bonnie and Clyde car again, different box art. Then there's the Gangbusters car and the 28 Lincoln. And I think this was supposed to be like the long arm of the law, like the Elliot Ness types. And, of course, you could buy any...
You know what I think they should come out with as a series of model kits?
What?
They should have the LAPD pursuit vehicles collection.
I'd buy one in a heartbeat. I was surprised they never used Adam 12 to sell cars. In fact, somebody did a fantasy box art about that.
I mean, they have a channel on YouTube that has all of the live car chases from LA. It's hysterical.
Whoa there, my brother. You do know that Mike Machat and I were personally involved in one of those.
I'm not even going to comment on this. Go ahead.
No. Last time I went to go see Mike. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, J-Bot Decals does have the decals for a 1 Adam 12 69 Plymouth Belvedere. But I don't...
Well, Joe handmade the kit.
And Malloy and Reed, there are Shapeways made some resin figures. But I don't see an actual Adam 12 kit, which I think is just a missed... I would have bought that in a heartbeat. My God, the comment section's moving faster than I can read it. Ken, are you reading these?
Yeah.
Okay.
But most of them are talking about guns. Nathan says, you ever seen someone actually fire a Thompson machine gun after about 2 seconds? The thing's pointed up in the air. You can't keep the muzzle down. There's so much recoil on that gun.
Okay, stop the bus. Back up the gunpowder bus. Something you guys may not know about me that I tend not to share, except with people I really care about, which is you guys. I had the unusual...
Next he's going to ask us for money.
No, that's the one thing I won't do. Actually, I had the benefit of growing up in a community where there were people who were Class 3 collectors. For those who don't know, in the United States of America, a Class 3 firearm is a full automatic or a sawed-off shotgun, or there's a variety of other stuff that's, supposedly... You can legally own them, although it is a very extensive process. And I had the unusual privilege, before I went in the Army, I might add, of firing a wide variety of full automatic firearms, a Bren gun, a Port Said, a real German MP40. Both models of Thompson, the 1928 and the M1, which had the, like you saw Tom Hanks carrying in Saving Private Ryan, did not have the cuts compensator on the end of it. And it has a side bolt and the fixed sight. The 1928 has the adjustable sight, the top bolt, the cuts compensator. It can take a drum or a magazine. Let me tell you, the Thompson weighs, I think, 10.4 pounds empty. And it's pistol calibered. If you use one of those, especially the Ford pistol grip and a drum, which is heavy, you can hold that on target. If you're using the later, cheaper stamped military M1A, which like Tom Hanks side bolt, like Sergeant Saunders carried in combat, side bolt, fixed sight, no compensator, much cheaper version of the gun, doesn't have the blish lock in it, which is a piece of, which turned out not to really do anything effective, but it's a sliding brass piece on the bolt. That will rise on you, especially if you don't have the pistol grip. That horizontal wood grip, it is hard to hold on to, but especially if you're using hot military ammo. And it does take practice and training because it will try to come up on you. But if you hold the 28 or the 21, the 21 was the one that had the spring that allowed it to shoot a much higher cyclic rate, and it tended to get out of control. I think the Navy bought a bunch of those in the Marines, and they were like, yeah, that one they had trouble with. So I believe it was the 28. They tightened the spring, a heavier spring, so it cycled slower, and that made it more controllable. It does take practice and training, to be sure. You hand it to a person who doesn't know what they're doing, yeah, they're gonna, after the first 2 rounds, they're shooting over the target. But you get someone who knows what they're doing, and that's why you see a lot of them tuck the thing in under their arm like that. They can hold it down. But the thing is, the early Thompsons, 21, 28, you see those fins on the barrel. Those are cooling fins. They're adding metal mass to it that works as a radiator. The cheap military one, the M1A, I think it was M1A, didn't have those, so it would overheat a lot more easily. But it also had a lower rate of fire. And to be honest with you, I think it was a little more prone to jam. All of them fired from the open bolt, which is nothing does that today. The easiest.
John Jones says Max has lived the lives of 5 men.
What? What'd he say? I can't read that. I got the wrong glasses on.
John Jones says Max has lived the lives of 5 men.
That's because I've had 5 different careers, and it was summarily dismissed from most of them. But that's not what we're here to talk about. Anyway,
Craig says, "How about a white Ford Bronco and a set of LAPD pursuit cars in the same box?"
Why not? You wouldn't even have to pay royalties. And you know what you could call it? The Jailbird Express.
The what?
The Jailbird Express. The Jailbird Express.
Oh, okay.
What kind of bird don't fly? A jailbird. Oh, hey, you know what else you could do? What was the
box art? Show it in front of a Hertz dealer.
You are so cruel. I absolutely love it. If my mustache was long enough, I'd twirl it.
Tom Fox says Max is the inspiration for the most interesting man in the world.
I do not often drink bourbon. When I do, I drink Abel's. I drink.
Instead of a Dos Equis commercial, we should have him doing a Dole pineapple commercial.
Oh, yes.
I don't often eat pineapples, but when I do, they are soaked in Patron. By the way, here's another one. What was the police car and the car they were chasing in the Sugarland Express with Goldie Hawn?
I don't know. I didn't see that.
You never saw the Sugarland Express?
I don't remember the car.
The state trooper chases the escaped convict because, okay, I'm not going to get into the whole story. I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen the movie. Goldie Hawn breaks her husband out of a low security prison because they're going to take her kid away, and somehow she seems to think breaking her inmate husband out of a low security prison and running to Sugarland to get her baby back is going to work. Didn't think it through. Anyway,
and they wind up ever after. Yes,
they wind up getting chased by a trooper who they wind up having an accident. And she gets, the car wrecks, and he takes her out of the car. While he's taking her out of the car and carrying her away, she grabs his, I guess it was Model 19, his revolver, and tosses it to her husband, who unwillingly holds the trooper at gunpoint, and they wind up taking him as a hostage. Well, they wind up with half the police forces in Texas right on their tail as they're making their way to Sugarland, where they don't know a couple of snipers are waiting on them. This is the kind of thing I can actually see happening in the real world, because criminals aren't known for thinking things through. Despite what a lot of people would have you think, in Hollywood, most criminals are not Bond villains. But
Barry says Ford Galaxy.
The Galaxy, okay. So you could get the car that they escaped in and the car they chased them with, and do a Sugarland Express duo pack.
Yeah.
God. I watched that movie and I was kind of like, please tell me not every cop in Texas is as big of an idiot. And then I watch Audit the Audit and go, yeah, not so sure. For those who don't know, Audit the Audit is a channel that deals with police interactions with citizens where, although sometimes the cops get it right, a lot of times they get it wrong. And being a former police officer, I have to admit that, yeah, the popo don't always get it right. But let's move back to models. Anyway,
KLSNC has a good point. He says, nobody's ever really made emergency vehicles and squad fire trucks from like Emergency and the other shows on TV like that.
Just like I said about Adam 12. Okay, and Emergency would be perfect to make both the fire truck and the paramedic truck. By the way, as a side note, because I read way too much Wikipedia, I happen to know that the paramedic vehicle from Emergency, the LA County, and by the way, don't forget that whereas Dragnet and Adam 12, these were all Jack Webb productions, whereas Dragnet and Adam 12 were the Los Angeles City Police, Emergency was LA County Fire Department. And I used to rush home to see that show. I think it's one of the best shows ever made. Emergency.
You just went for Julie London.
So, what's your point? Who didn't?
Chuck says AMT has released fire trucks.
Yeah, but they didn't actually release the one from Emergency. Now that truck that the paramedic, the DeSoto and Gage drove around in, when they made the show, the LA County Fire Department said, first off, we're very excited, we want to help any way we can, but we can't give you a vehicle. All right? So they went to the manufacturer and said, we want one of these made for us. And I forget, it was GMC or who made it. So they made them an identical vehicle for the show, which they could do anything they wanted with. They made a few concessions for the for TV, but overall it was and of course it was built on a standard truck. But in Adam 12, of course, obviously, especially after Dragnet, the chief of police, the successive chiefs of police, one of whom later became the governor of California, I think that was Reardon. They said, look, we're going to help you every way we can. We're giving you stories. Jack Webb went into the police offices. If you watch Dragnet, everything right down to the furniture and the telephones, although those are Hollywood-built sets, they are virtually 100% authentic. Webb was adamant that they had the correct telephones, desks, furnitures, wall coverings, everything. Sign makers, all that stuff.
The emergency truck was a Dodge.
Dodge, okay. Now, there was one concession Adam 12 had to make, which was a minor concession that unless you're a nerd like me, you'd never catch. If you see the beginning of the show, at some point they usually have aerial footage of the car. And the number on top was 012. That was not and is not an LAPD number. First off, no LAPD police car numbers on the roof begin with a 0. This was done because there was a legitimate concern that while they were driving it around for the show, that police helicopters might see that number and think they were an active unit and try to assign them a call. Hey, we got a unit at such and such and such, they have him respond. So they realized that they had, because there was no way they were going to be able to coordinate with the air units that were too busy. LAPD has a very active helicopter unit. Anybody seen Blue Thunder knows that. But by the way, to totally go off on a tangent, because that's what we do here on Max's Models live streams, the movie Blue Thunder, I didn't find the fact that he looped a helicopter, I'm good with that, because eventually they did. And I didn't care the fact that it was just a gussied up gazelle. Didn't care about that, okay? The thing that I found completely unbelievable was when he's hovering over some bad guys and they start shooting at him, they put bullet holes in his helicopter, and he does not immediately fly back to have maintenance look at the helicopter. He just goes back on patrol with 2 or 3 bullet holes in his helicopter. That was BS.
Well, so was stealth mode.
You don't know that, Ken. You don't know everything.
Yeah, Ken, what's wrong with you? He does. Come on.
Yeah.
Flip a switch and all of a sudden the helicopter's quiet. I don't think so.
Yeah, it just turns the engine off and then feathers the rotors, and you fall like a stone. Now, the stealth mode was BS also, absolutely. There is a stealth mode on jets, and you know how that works? Come on. Think it out. It ain't rocket science.
What?
How to turn on stealth mode on a jet.
Sound waves.
Huh?
You're talking over me.
On purpose, because I'm a brute and a bully.
Okay.
Okay, Ken.
They're using out-of-phase sound waves.
I don't even know what those are. No, Ken. Stealth mode on a jet is you just pull the throttles back till the engines don't make as much noise.
Ooh, ha, ha, ha.
No, really, in noise abatement, I've gone out of airports, so they tell you when you hit like X number of feet at certain thing, you have to throttle back.
Oh, I knew about that. Yeah, but you're still making noise, just not as much.
Yeah, not as much. That's one of my favorite parts of the movie Airport, which is probably one of the greatest aviation movies ever made. Was where you see the people say, the family say their prayers, a jet goes overhead, just shakes and rattles the dishes. If you've ever been under a 707 taking off, that was no exaggeration. And even Dean Martin tells Burt Lancaster, you think I'm using noise abatement going off a 2-2, because you got to throttle back right away. And for those of us who are old enough to remember the old Stage 1 engines, you know how loud those jets were. It was no kidding. Next to a baby shrieking, it was the loudest sound ever made by a human.
Oh, I had relatives that lived like right by JFK, and when they would take off, the whole house would shake.
Oh yeah. No, that was. Look, because we're just gone into tangent land. We will get back to kit models at some point, I swear. We got 151. This is a good night. So, for those of you who don't know, in the middle of the Everglades, there's a 10,000-foot runway and a parking pad and an a fire department and a control tower.
I know about that one.
And lots of alligators.
Lots of alligators. The identifier of the airport, and feel free to Google, this is KTNT for Transition in Training. Now, let me tell you a story. And I've probably touched on this before at some point. I fly over this all the time, especially when I pass over Florida going into Lauderdale. And it kind of breaks my heart. But let me, if I may.
Please.
To paraphrase Chuck Gray in the Rocky Horror Picture Show, I would like, if I may. Now
to jump to the left.
And put your hands on your hips and a step to the right.
Barry
So-
kind of went off on a deep tangent.
Oh, we're going down the we're going oil well deep on this one. All right. Envision this.
Go ahead, do it.
It's the 1960s. We've got the Cross Florida Barge Canal being dug. The alligator, the big machine that's just grinding away trees and stumps and clearing a path for it. We built the Panama Canal a century ago. My God, man, now we're putting men on the moon. We're America. We can do anything. Okay? So, someone decides, the people of Miami, the good folk that they are mighty weary of the roaring noise of the sound of freedom. 707s and DC-8s without hush kits roaring over their houses on departure. Miami, the gateway to the South. And by that I mean like South America. Okay?
Like America, yeah.
South America. And the people of Miami are mighty
Savage says, from guns to Everglades.
Well, those two things go kind of hand in hand.
Guns to gators.
Guns to gators, baby. Which, by the way, is how you deal with a gator. But I digress. So, the good folk of Miami are mighty tired of these exceedingly loud jets going in and coming out. And by the way, they had to carry a lot of thrust on landing with the flaps and gear hanging. I was under the original Air Force One when it went into Andrews one day in landing configuration in my little 86 Honda Civic, and it frickin' near deafened me. And all of a sudden, like that, I understood. And that ain't as much noise as they make taking off. Even with the little cookie cutter kits on the back end. So they say, you know what? We're going to solve this problem. We're going to close Miami International. In fact, we might even close Fort Lauderdale. We might even close Fort Myers. But we're going to close Miami. But before we close it, we got to have a replacement. So we're going to put a 4-runway megaplex in the middle of the Everglades where no one lives within 50 miles. Either way. And if I may paraphrase one of the YouTube channels by Reason TV, wonderful idea with the best of intentions. So they start building this megaplex in the middle of the Everglades. There's already the Tamiami Trail going across, so they already had a highway. They're going to put it right beside it. Now, what the plan was, and it was a good plan, because you got to remember, this is back when America could do anything. They were going to build a large 4 parallel runway, sort of like Atlanta or current day Orlando, 4 parallel runways in the middle of the Everglades where there would be no noise issues because animals don't vote or complain. You were going to have 2 runways on the North Complex for landing and taking off for northbound traffic and 2 runways on the South Complex for southbound traffic. And it was going to run like a Swiss watch. And it was going to be the gateway to South America. Everything going to South America was going to go through there. All right? And they got the first runway done. The reason I know so much about this is I had the privilege of giving elder care to the former airport commander. And that was his title. It was not airport manager. It was airport commander. Robert Bob Sampson. And he had been an OS2U and a J2F Kingfisher and a Navy Kingfisher. He'd been in the Navy during World War II, and Kingfishers and ducks, Grumman ducks and chance fought Kingfishers. And he was at up in Alaska, and he was there when Dutch Harbor got raided, and they were in the air in his Kingfisher. And I was like, the pilot ducked in the clouds as the raid was over. He said, "You want to take him on?" He goes, "With my 130 caliber against the Zeros? I don't think so." And he'd been a pilot for National Airlines before he went to the FAA. And they put him in charge of that. And he was the first airport commander. Now, they got 1 runway completed. They got the parking pad completed. I think they got a small tower erected. And they got the fire department put up. And then, in the late 60s, You guys who were in America at that time might recall that this is when the conservation movement was really getting traction. And a lot of people were complaining about this. In fact, there's even a commercial that deals with this from like the late 60s for Eastern Airlines. But they were all complaining that putting this airport in the middle of the Everglades was going to have this huge disturbance on wildlife. And in all fairness, they weren't wrong. But the attitude is that when we get this done, we will move Miami International out to this facility. And they were also going to build an early high-speed rail out there from Miami, and probably also eventually to Fort Myers. So people could go downtown Miami, get on a train, move nonstop to the airport, and get on the airplane and go wherever they were going to go. The land that Miami Airport sits on would, of course, been converted in, would have been sold off to realtors, and that money would have helped pay for this new airport. And given even back then the values of Miami property, it probably would have been a handsome return for the city. There was even talk about moving the train to Fort Lauderdale and Fort Myers so that you could basically close all of the South Florida major jet airports, and they would have this Atlanta-style megaplex in the middle of the Everglades, which is the perfect place for it. And they got the one runway done, and like I say, the stuff they got, and then the environmentalists had enough political support to defund it and got it killed. And since they already had it built and it was already out there, they allowed the airlines to use it because back in those days, you had to do training in the airplane. You trained in a level C or B simulator, which was great, but you had to go out and make 3 landings and takeoffs in a real airplane. So they would send the trainees out there to do their takeoffs and landings so they didn't interfere with the working airports. And if they did something stupid, they were out in the middle of the Everglades. And that's why it became KT&T, Transition and Training, for transition training. And
John Jones says Wikipedia says they were anticipating using the Boeing 2707 SST.
That is correct. Very much so. The thing I just built a model of. That is absolutely right. And the idea was the thing would go subsonic before it got to Miami, and then come in. But the thing is, because it was only 50 miles from the coastline, you know, they ever going to need that much room to slow up. So, yeah, there were big, I mean, this is back when America dreamed big. The SST, the lunar program, you know, and not to get into a history lesson or alternative history or anything, but I hate to say this, and I probably shouldn't, but if it hadn't been the Vietnam War, maybe some of this would have come to fruition. But history played out the way it played out, and now that everybody does everything in level D simulators and you don't have to qualify in the airplane anymore, the last airline I know of that sent its people out there to train in the airplane was AirTran. I know because I interviewed with them, and they told me point blank, and I actually took my check ride with them in the level C sim, which had very basic graphics where they just showed if you guys remember Microsoft Flight Simulator, Microsoft Flight Simulator about 1990-91. It was about that level. And you had to go out and do 3 takeoffs and landings in a real airplane. And that's where they did it. That's the last airline I know of they didn't use the place. That facility probably gets 100 or 200 operations a month. Most of those are people who just go in to put it in a logbook. And you have to get a prior permission and call the facility to control it. It's a process. Because one of the reasons they kept people out there was, gosh, I don't know, the 70s and 80s, a 10,000-foot runway in the middle of the Everglades. Who might want to use that, Ken? Who do you think? You know, every drug dealer in America.
Drug dealers?
Oh, big time. So that place they had to keep an eye on. That's one reason it's still manned to this day. But, God, what a waste of a beautiful facility. I mean, there's so much that could be done there. And now that airplanes are so quiet and it wouldn't really be a problem for the wildlife, the irony is, today, they probably could build a facility there, close Miami and Fort Myers and Fort Lauderdale, and just have people take high-speed rail out there. Hell, you already got the Bright Line going. You know, just say, you know, the irony is, it's more feasible now than it was then. And given the value of Miami real estate today, selling off Miami International Airport and lots to realtors would probably pay for the whole thing.
Probably would.
And that's why you need to run for governor.
Max for governor. I am the governor. Well, guys, I thank you for joining me for that little trip down all counterfactual history. Now back to models.
Ken. I think that when we have these future live streams,
Yeah.
he should just be sitting in front of a fireplace in a rocker so he could give these little fireside chats.
Don't tempt me.
Didn't he try that once? I think he did that once.
I did that for Christmas
At
one
Christmas.
time.
Oh, Christmas. That's right.
Okay, so we got the Gangbusters car, and there you have a picture from the catalog.
Hey, Trace.
Hey, Trey. But by the way, guys, I want to give a huge shout out to Fran and Trey both for just all the stuff they've done to help me with the channel here, and I hope to see them both at JaxCon. And I'm going to tell you right now, I turned down a 3-day trip because it'd be over JaxCon. I've got a table, and I looked at how much income I'm not making, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to JaxCon. Some
You
things
better
are
take
worth
a lot of pictures with people at $20 a pop.
No, it's just my wife gave me this day. She goes, "You make enough money, enjoy your life." And I'm like, my God, one reason I married that woman is she has such an incredible perspective. She keeps me balanced. Well, I
Just
guess
think if you became governor of Florida, what you could do for the modeling industry. You could mandate that the public schools had to teach model building.
you're reading my mind.
Just,
I don't know. Would that get past legal? Because kids would have to have sharp objects.
Yes, Ken.
Yeah, but it would
I'm
fit
also
the-
gonna
it would fit the
require. Okay, all right. Since you went there, tangent number 2. Max is governor. What would I mandate? First off, every single kid has to light off an M80, hold it in their hand for 3 seconds before they throw it.
That builds character.
Exactly. It's a character building exercise.
And he cuts down on those taking piano lessons.
And you know what you call a kid with 2.5 fingers? Slow. Now, actually,
I have to take my hat off to a California state senator who got a bill passed saying that it is now mandatory to teach kids how to write cursive in elementary school.
Absolutely.
That
Okay.
it should take an act of legislation to do that is astounding, but I'm glad that somebody stood up for it and did it.
Something
they
I would
stop?
require in school
A
is
while ago.
I would require
Because they have computers, Ken. They just do it on the keyboard. There's no need to learn how to write it when you can type it.
I would require kids to have basic firearms safety. Just the basic
That's
stuff.
a good idea.
You know, I'm not making them go out and qualify or anything, but I want them to know how to handle one safely without setting it off and how to unload every kind of basic firearm that's out there. A lot of these, we get rid of a lot of accidents. Okay, so there are a lot of other stuff I require.
Here's a good
Okay,
says,
every
Governor
child,
Max would
every
allow
single
Florida
child.
Medicaid to allow model building as an occupational therapy.
Not only that, that's your safe space. Build a model, kid. They would also have to learn to drive a stick shift and solo a light plane, or at least basically go up for a ride and learn how to fly one. Okay, don't have to land it or take it off, but every kid would get 1 hour of dual instruction on a light plane, and every kid would have to know how to drive a stick shift. And
teach them how to write a check.
and how to balance a checkbook. There are a whole bunch of things I would do when I'm not throwing the tarbus on, hitting it with an elbow. Okay, so on to the next agenda for the evening.
Teach your kids to respect their parents.
Ken, that's not the state's job, but we could encourage it. Okay,
That was Jack Fleming's lab.
The next thing, we're going over to Palmer. Palmer made a series of these animal kits. I had not even heard of these before. Now, I thought one thing was like, I was like, okay, it's no big, so you're going to make models of lions, tigers, and bears. Oh my. But then it turns out that they did more than just make a kit of the big cat. They made a kit of the big cat with his head on the wall.
There you go, from the Jungle Gym Trophy Series.
Pretty much. And I was like, wait a minute. We're
What?
the Scout Award trophies ready to assemble all plastic model kit African lion. And I'm expecting to see a lion, not a head mounted on a plaque. I mean, I know it was the Smithies and the 60s, but good God, guys, come on.
What?
I've got to find one of these.
Brainiac came up with this.
This is too
idea.
freaking awesome. I got to find one. I mean, three-dimensional model, ready to mount wall plaque and full instructions. You don't have to go out and kill your own lion anymore. You can just buy a model of it.
Yeah, those would be good to sell at the zoo gift shop.
Oh, come on. This
Boy,
is...
just when I thought they had made a model of everything.
That's about what I thought. I was like, how have I not heard of this kit before? And, pretty basic kit to build, but tricky to paint. Leave it to Palmer Plastics. My God, that old man was a genius.
It's the worst kits ever.
Especially if you like building model cars.
Yeah,
What do they go for on eBay?
That's on you, Steve. Look it up.
Okay. What was the name of the kit?
Well, this is the Palmer Scout Award Trophy African Lion. These pictures are from Worth Point, and of course, our good friend Paul Adams in New Zealand sent these to me because Paul has become an absolutely indispensable resource for this channel. I'd have to actually pay an intern to do all this work. By the way, Paul, how's the Williams brother kit model coming? After all he's done for us, at least I could do is send him a kit, you know.
Lance Ravel says, for us oldsters, 3 on the tree is an anti-theft device.
To answer a comment here, Trey, I did get your pictures. I actually just downloaded them to my phone. Trey has been working on a Ming 163, the Comet, the German rocket plane. Still the only actual rocket interceptor to ever be used in combat. And I actually saw the kit when I was at his house, and it has been one problem after another with that kit. You know, we've gotten so used to these kits that just fall together. You expect every modern kit, to just be that way. He got the Ming kit, and he had to fight it all the way. But by God, he came out with a beautiful model when he's done, which will be in the next viewer's build. And hats off to you, Trey, for sticking with that and making it work. But it's got an incredible amount of detail. But he just had one problem. He covers it on his channel. And you guys haven't been out to Trey's models, go check it out. But it was one problem after another. And you don't expect that from modern kits. But hey, man, they're shooting styrene under 300 psi into steel cut molds. It don't always get just right. There's a point in time when the manufacturer goes, good enough.
Not a 1 on eBay.
Oh, so rareness. That's probably why it's on Worth Point. For people who are too good to go to eBay. Alrighty. Well, anyway, I saw this and I was just kind of like, what? Here's the best part, though. It ain't the only one. Precision Plastics also did one. And out of Philadelphia. Come on. Why isn't this? Oh, okay. There we go. Precision Plastics out of Philadelphia also did a mounted head. This one's of a tiger. And that's a fairly in-depth kit. There's a lot of parts to that. Let me blow this up a little bit here so you can get a better look at it. I gotta admit, I'm more than a little impressed. And I got a feeling that a company called itself Precision Plastics may have done a slightly better job than Palmer. Because Palmer, and these are the guys that gave you the little green soldier men. I did, by the way, guys, I did the history on Palmer Plastics. It's out there on my channel. And I really have a lot of respect for the guy who started that company. It was a plastics company. He did a lot of kits. He did a lot of other stuff. But one of the reasons he was able to keep his stuff alive is because he had other stuff. He wasn't completely dependent on models. But apparently he really loved them. And he even started another company after he retired. Was it Winnebago or Winnebago, something like that.
Okay, Precision Plastics has a Fighting Blue Marlin fish kit on a plaque for $49.
That's actually not all that bad, if, given the rarity. Yeah, they did a surprising number of animals, but here's the tiger from Precision, and I gotta admit, I think the Palmer kit might be a little better of a mold, but I mean, still, it's just such an obscure thing to do a kit model of.
They have a boxer, the head of a boxer dog, $75.
But this one, you got to
And a
drill the
bald-
holes for
and
the
a-
whiskers.
And a bald eagle for $74.99. And here's another fish. And let's see.
I mean, they must have sold these things because otherwise they wouldn't have made them. It just seems like such an odd selection. But then again, we come from this
Here's
point.
the tiger. Here's the tiger, $59.99.
Oh, not bad actually. I mean, all things
Or
considered.
best offer.
Offer him 25.
So you could get it. He'll take a best offer.
Huh? Well, there you go.
Here's one of the Precision Marlins that's built for $19.99.
Well, once it's already built, I mean,
I know.
might as well go out and dynamite your own fish.
Well, that's what the M80 training is for in school.
Put an M80 behind one of these little
Here's a buffalo, $39.95.
Well, we got a Black Panther also, and from Precision. I don't know. All those cats have that glazed look. I don't know. Somehow, maybe the Palmer kit's actually a little better, but
Of course they are. They're mounted on a plaque. What do you expect them to do? Wink at you?
if it does, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
You guys remember the old Richard Pryor routine about the Amityville horror? Did you ever see the Richard Pryor? He talks about how the Amityville horror, he goes, those were white people. Because I guarantee you, if black people, the first time a ghost said leave the house, we'd have been gone.
Meanwhile, now you know what would be good about the tiger kit with the plaque?
What's that?
You could put it on one wall in the house and be in the other room, and you could look through the eyes and see what's going on in the next room.
God. Oh, Lord. Well, there's your marlin and there's your bald eagle. Actually, bald eagle and marlin don't look that bad. Mammals are the hardest animals to recreate. But precision trophy kits are manufactured in these modern plants, and it shows the photograph, the drawing, the artist drawing of this giant plant. But I don't know. Different times, my brother. Different times. 4647 Stenton Avenue, Philadelphia 44, PA. I mean, even the address is written different. Philadelphia 44. What is that supposed to mean? Copyright 1958.
That's
44 was
that.
that.
What?
Yeah, that was their zip code back then.
A 2-digit zip code?
Kinda, yeah. It's city based.
My God, it was another world. If you teleported,
it was in Philadelphia. That is another world.
Yeah, really, the city of brotherly shove. But part of me thinks if you teleported the average person now back to 1958, those of us over 70 could probably deal with it, but everybody else would be kind of like, what?
I would love to go go back there with money.
Money. I would like to buy all the kits in your store and take them back to my teleporter. Well, you know, this company wasn't the only one to get into the game. Here's one of Paul's builds, and this both the Leopard and the Jaguar. Excuse me, but the Jaguar, the car, and the animal are Airfix. Now you gotta give him credit. That's kind of a cool way to market a kit. I know you guys are on the lag for the picture, so I'm waiting. And judging by this, apparently, I guess they still make it. I think that's Paul's build. But anyway, you know,
That's a little out of scale.
well, Ken, we're the whole idea is just the idea. Now, I don't know if this came together as a kid or somebody put it, but my understanding, you know, Paul will probably tell us he's done the research on it. But you gotta give him credit, though. I mean, from a marketing point of view.
Well, you got to remember, that was the time when they were experimenting with all of these quote-unquote educational kits.
Uh-huh.
You know, they had the visible kits, they had the cow, they had the horse, they had, you know, the eyeball, the visible man, the visible woman. You know, there were a lot of kits that were not what we would today consider to be traditional kits.
I never had the visible man or the visible woman, but some of the kids that I knew did. And, of course, boys, you know, being 8-year-old boys, 6-year-old boys being what they were, you know, imagine, you know, they were gluing hair on it and everything else because they were idiots.
Enough. Move on.
So the next thing is the Artorama kits from Monogram. I do not remember these kits. But apparently...
What were they?
Paul Adams said only the Jaguar car is a kit by Airfix. The Cheetah model, I could not find a running Jaguar, is a Pego toy.
Okay.
One piece ready painted. It was a fun project.
Okay, there we go. So now, there we go. Now, let me go over here to the Monogram Artographics and read the actual text. Blah, 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 blah. Most of these lines were aimed at the craft market, and the kits themselves, by the way, this is all from Paul's research, the kits themselves tend to be fairly simple, often snapped together, and came with various other elements such as paints. Everything needed to complete the model came in the box. The Monogram Artorama sets are an example of this. They were three-dimensional pictures that came with paints, brushes, picture frame, and even a pre-painted background. The box top showed the whole family working on one of the sets. Monogram hobby kits for family fun, and said the advertising. The range was launched in 1961, the year I was born, but only ever ran to 3 kits in 2 sizes. They were priced at $2.98 and $4.98, making them a lot more expensive than the typical airplane or car kit. All the depicted groups of African animals and natural settings. The home decorator angle was heavily promoted. They were clearly aimed at a different market to most hobby kits. Kit number CR101-298 were the zebras, CR102-298 were the lions, and CR103-498 were the giraffes. Came with family group of animals molded in cream-colored plastic. There were usually accessories such as a tree or other animals. A deep shadow box frame in black plastic with contrasting white strips. Molded vacuform 3D plastic background was already painted. Imagine that job. A jar of unusual adhesive paint solvent, a plastic palette of 6 colors suitable for the subject, 2 paintbrushes. There were no clear parts or decals. According to Monogram Models by Tom Graham, and I have that book somewhere, the 3 sets were sculpted by Hans Jernstrom. I hope I'm saying that right. An elephant scene was planned but was dropped due to poor sales of the initial 3 sets. No scale was mentioned. The sizes are difficult to read, but I think they are as follows. The 2 smaller were 9 7/8 inches by 7 3/4 inches, and 2 3/4 inches deep, while the drafts were 15 by a half inch, 12 and a half inch, and 3 1/4 inches deep. And they were very short-lived and have never been re-released because they apparently tanked in the marketplace.
Meanwhile, Renwall, they sold kits that were mosaic.
Yes.
It came with little bags of cut pieces of stone or whatever that were all in different colors, and you had a picture, and it was kind of like a by the number thing, and you glue the little stones into place, and it would make a picture.
All right.
And then there was another kit that I'm not sure, I can't remember who actually made it. It would have a vac formed scene, and you would get sheets of what was the equivalent of bare metal foil, but in copper.
Right.
And you would get a stylus, and you would press it in over the details of the plastic form that was on the sheet.
I actually faintly remember my sisters playing with something like that when I was a kid.
And they also had, Tonka came out with these diorama kits of different historical moments. One was the Wright brothers, the other one was the engines meeting in Promontory, Utah. Mm-hmm. The Model T coming out of the factory. They were pretty large kits. I don't think they did that well. They only sold a couple of years.
I think one of the mistakes that they made, and this is just my opinion. Let me get some water in a minute. I'm out of cough medicine, and now I need water. Agua. What happened was...
John Ashley Smith says when you're expecting a model plane, tank, ship, and you receive one of these kits, you think the gift giver didn't like you very much.
Paul's right. Aurora, the one I'm thinking of, the Aurora kits, they came with the same thing with the metal, then they put it over the thing. I think what happened was, and this is again my personal read on it. Most kit model builders, of which 99.99% were boys, they liked visceral mechanical stuff, tanks, planes, cars, and of course the movie buffs like the characters, the figures from Aurora. And I don't think history was as big of a selling point as some of the executives thought it was. So they made the historical figures, and a lot of kids found that, and I hate to say this because I'm a history buff, but at the time, they found it boring. But things like fighter planes excited them, and hot rods excited them. And I don't blame them because they had to try and keep the parents happy also because they actually had the purse strings. But the reality is that, you hand the average 9-year-old a history-oriented kit, he's like, he wants a car, or plane, or a tank, or a monster. And
but Aurora sold a lot of knights in shining armor and Western cowboy Negro kits.
But those were guys from movies also. I mean, kids could associate that to a lot of movies that they watched also. Like you could probably, Blackbeard and some of the pirates they did also. So I think there was enough of a link to what kids liked. They saw a knight and they thought, I saw a medieval movie the other day. You hand them because like the Dutch boy and the Dutch girl, they didn't do well. The kid the international series.
The difference is the kids that we're just talking about now, which were quote unquote educational. That was more not what you wanted a kit for. You wanted a kit because you wanted to enjoy the subject and make a subject you were interested in.
Well, exactly. That's exactly the point I'm making, precisely. And the history kits often didn't do that. If a kid built one of Promontory Point, it's because of the trains. Now, look, you can sell them any piece of history you want if you stick a Frankenstein or a Godzilla in it,
Yeah.
And
you could sell any piece of history you wanted to if the box lured them in.
The box art was critical. And except for a few models that kids would probably have bought anyway, actually, the one thing about using photographs as they did later on, the one place I think photographs worked was dragsters.
Yeah,
You got a photograph of the dragster spinning its wheels, the white smoke, the audience in the background. That was pretty visceral.
yeah, but not for a plane or a boat.
No, a picture of a built model airplane, which is what they went to, was actually anticlimactic. But a photograph of an actual photograph of a dragster, just as he's letting off the line, which is something you weren't going to get with airplanes or something, because a photographer could sit there and see a dragster at its most impressive moment.
And the picture of a finished kit, in some instances, for a young kid, would scare them off.
Yeah, because I can't build it that well.
Right. Mine's not going to look that good when I'm done, so why do it?
Yeah. And, Christ, you only paid an artist about $400 back then. I realize it's about $4,000 today, but still, given the money he stood to make, that is why guys like Amendola and Linwood and Steele, they were so important, because these guys had the ability to imagine the things that made the model interesting. And good box art tells a story. And as my brother said, looking at the models was like going to the movies. They told a story.
It only costs $600 now to have a box done.
If I was going to go in the model business today, I absolutely would use box art. I mean, box art sells like nothing else. The only possible exceptions to that, maybe something if it's a clip from a movie, or a dragster or a funny car. Maybe NASCAR. A lot of NASCAR went to photos.
Yeah.
But hot rods, other automobiles, absolutely are the artwork.
Well, you also got to remember, too, that a photograph is cheaper.
Yeah, and I wonder what kind of impact that has on sales.
On a car, it's a lot, because you're actually envisioning that you're going to build that thing that does that.
Yeah, but I agree. Putting a picture of the finished model on the box art usually isn't a selling point. Now, if you're dealing with something like a Zuikimaro, which is a $300-400 kit, has a full interior, or maybe a wingnut wing. Well, even wingnut wings use box art, and damn good box art, I might add. The person who builds a kit like that is kind of gone beyond the box art and everything. They're interested in the subject matter. But good box art definitely sells the average kit.
Natasha says box art's like a pretty dress on a girl. Captures your eye.
It does. It really does. The thing that's sad about what the moment, and we've talked about this before, one of the most disappointing things is when you get a kit with great box art and it's a lousy kit.
Yeah. And there's a lot of them out there. Take that round 2 NBC Godzilla with the Jeep with the 15mm.
Yeah. The Jeep, the
How many people got that home and said, "There's no Godzilla in the box"?
Yeah. That kind of. I mean, I'd already looked at it online, so I knew it was paper, but that kind of hurt in a way. I was like, man, come on, guys. This is, how much would it cost you to stamp out a few pieces? You obviously already have the license. Well, I am going to put some pictures up here and have you guys carry the show for a minute, because I have got to go get some water.
Oh, goody. We get to talk about you.
Talk about me behind my back. Now's your chance. But then again, you don't know when I'll be back.
But what will we say behind his back that we wouldn't say to his face, Ken?
Really, Ken? Seriously.
That's a good point. There isn't much.
I'll be right.
Hey, look at this. We're up to 161 people, and now you're going to take a bathroom break?
Crap. I just knocked my astronaut on the floor with the arm of the chair. Ow! God, I hope he's okay.
Oh, we just lost 2 viewers.
They missed the collision.
He will be back soon. Don't go away.
I'm still here, actually. I'm going to see if this thing's still working.
Well, What thing?
I knocked my astronaut on the floor while the arm of the chair hit it.
Oh, that little stubby guy?
Well, he seems to still be
I
working.
thought Max would never leave.
I'm still here.
Bean talks about you behind your back as far as you know.
How
no one.
I'm looking for the
Livestream has a
bass-
new meeting with Max.
The bass plate went all the way into Godzilla. I'm here on the floor in the back of the room.
Watch out for snakes, Max.
Yeah. Don't live in Florida. You can't deal with toilet snakes.
Sign up since he's left, kid.
We're down to 155 now, so yeah, we're
I'll
heading
be
for the
right
floor
back.
here.
You guys carry the show. Don't bore them.
Don't bore them.
You heard me.
We can't show them any interesting pictures.
Yeah, we don't have control of the keyboard.
Yeah, we can't do anything interesting.
So what are you guys working on now? What's on the bench?
That's a good question. It's going to take a while, though.
Because I'm driving, so I can't read the comments.
Oh. You can hear Max walking in and out of the room. Hit that like button, folks. See, Max has low blood sugar all the trouble. Turn off the mic. Max knocks something off the shelf again. Actually, Natasha, more like low blood alcohol. Then we hear in the background, nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition. And rats, shindig. I like a half scale kit of honey cat.
Okay.
Monogram 148 scale F105.
Nice.
Mackay Luna Diver Stingray.
Nice.
My wife is sewing on my model bench.
So you're not doing anything.
Nothing useful. A6 Devil 505 and a Dodge Ram Charger. Working on a 1985 Z28 and a 1964 GTO. Mark is working on a Shinden.
There you go.
The Mercrazy would call myself Styrene Giraffe if I was tall. Diane says, I'd like to do those animal dioramas. Still working on the Lancaster. John Ashley says, I dislike school so much I stopped going. They kicked me out. Got my GED during recovery, and I just went off the top. Okay, Sherman with a Callipy kit. 170. You guys are going too fast. 172nd monogram Huey. A 3 and 1. 3 went. Oh, yeah, I'll have to skip down a little bit here. Working on a Tamaya Panther with my son. Is working on an N-scale trains. Cool. When is there going to be a kit of Ken's boat? A 148 Shinden, a vintage wood kit from a 1947 of a jet racer made by Comet, powered by a CO2 cartridge. That's pretty cool. 150. If I miss some of these guys, I'm sorry. It's just going by so fast I can't keep up. 135th Trumpeter SA2, Atlantis B29. Judging from the artwork, I'd say folks from the 50s or early 60s smiled too much.
Okay.
That one. A 148 B36. Finally found the rest of the Atari 1/7/20th scale Nimitz inside the box of Red October. Just finished up a monogram F100. 172nd BF 109, and Max is back. Thank God.
I are back. Okay, is it my glasses or is the picture fuzzy?
You're fuzzy. A 1-to-1 scale model of Kate Upton. Okay.
Okay.
Ken needs to print his boat. Okay.
I'm sure there's a 3D. There's got to be a 3D file of your boat somewhere.
Maybe.
Well, you have to get Bruce the Mystic Modeler Ships to make a model of it.
Ken's boat kit will come with a sandbar diorama.
Ooh. Oh, they're not letting go of that one anytime soon.
Or maybe just have it laying on its side because the tide went out.
We're careening it.
It's a tough crowd tonight.
Yeah, let's be honest. This crew ain't exactly known for its what's the word I'm looking for?
Subtlety?
Yeah, I guess we'll go with that. Remember, if you can't abuse your friends, what's the point in letting them breathe?
Coming soon, a 135th door railgun.
Oh God, that's gonna be huge. The door rail gun kit that's out there is like 3 feet long.
Well, maybe we could have it shoot at Keeler's Titanic when it's built.
Oh, too soon.
Max, shake twice when you finish.
No comment. The joke they had when I was in the Army is shake it more than twice, you're playing with it.
Yeah, a small Captain Ken boot kit with the dinghy in tow. I guess it's supposed to be boat.
As you can tell,
Do you tow the dinghy when you go out, or do you tie it up to the mooring where you moor the boat when you come back?
I tow it behind me. That way, if I have to, whenever I get where I'm going.
if he has to abandon ship, it's right there.
I have an emergency life raft on board for that.
So, we have about 26 minutes left. Since I don't get fed until the show is over, we'll be finishing on time.
Need a diorama of Max trying to build a snap-tight kit with a VW wagon.
Just take the box of parts and shake them up. But the door kit is 52 inches. Dear God, that's huge. As you can tell by the green dots behind me, I have the thing is still working okay. Hitting the ground didn't seem to hurt it. But apparently the chair brushed it as I went by. I had it back here as a piece of set dressing. Now I have it over here. There it is. And it puts the ghostly back behind me. In fact, I can turn the stars off where it's just the ghostly orb. Ooh. Let me see if I... Oh, gosh, just lasered my own eyes. There we go. There you go. There's the spectrum. The spectral whatever behind me. Whoops. Come back here. There we go. I think it's pretty cool, actually. There we go.
Somebody's
Now you
working
can
on
really
a
see it.
bottle of vodka.
What? I was asked a while back. Oh, by the way, Dan Monroe of the YouTube channel. Oh gosh, I forgot the name of it off the top of my head. He's gonna be with us in the next month or two. He emailed me, texted me today that he couldn't make tonight's show, but that's okay because I barely did. But hopefully we'll have him on here soon. And hold on, let me just.
Nathan says, "Hey everyone, I think Max's wife has found a way to make sure his live streams finish on time, withholding his dinner until after the live stream."
Hey, you better believe it. She knows how the game is played. Dan Monroe has Media Master Design. That's the name of his YouTube channel. I've been in contact with him, so at some point we're going to have him as a guest. Now, he's not really so much a model guy as he is movie props, that kind of stuff, but I think it'd be a good adjunct because it's a lot of carryover. And, oh wow, just saw some really cool YouTube videos I'm going to have to watch. Anyway, but all I wanted to point out was just that he did get up with me, and we will hopefully have him over visit with the next couple of months. In his case, I might have him zoom in, but so we can do it in real time. But anyway,
looks like a pure energy alien is starting to form behind you.
That, or I just ripped one while the camera was off. But it tends to have that astral effect. You know, those are it's just swamp gas. But no, this thing my wife got me. Our son Eduardo loved it so much we got him one also, the little astronaut, and it is just awesome. I love the effect that it puts up there, and it's just cool. And you can do the star field, but I like it. I like just the astral projection thing, and it has a few adjustments on it. Excuse me, but anywho, so guys,
Max's aura.
I've been accused of worse. You know, it's funny. Transmission. You know, when you're looking the outside of a pineapple, people don't think about your aura. But
Bring out the lava lamp.
the 70s will never die. But
They're calling for you, Max.
stay away from the light, Shrek. Stay away from the light. Well, guys, what have we got for our last 20 minutes? Anybody got any questions or anything or something they'd like to cover? I am getting a lot of stuff for the Vietnam builds coming in, and getting a lot of other great pictures just for the regular viewers builds. February 2nd, I am still planning to be at the Proud Bird for anybody that wants to come out there. I think probably between about 1 and 4, Mike Machat and I should both be there. Provided the airplane doesn't break, nothing gets in the way. And I'm looking for the next trip. And at the end of the month, Mike and I'll probably do the, provided again, everything goes according to Hoyle. I will, what? Must support stoners. Like that. Quick review of the upcoming builds. Okay. Let me open that file real quick. That's in Wade. I open up the Wade file. And updated build schedule. Alright. As it stands, guys, just real quick. The Vietnam build is due March 31st. And what are you whistling at?
I'm not whistling.
Something. Okay.
Oh, he's whistling.
Okay.
Max has a dimensional portal behind him.
Yeah. The movie scene Hollywood studio build in front or behind the camera will be a month later, April 30th. Although I may push these dates back a little bit because I pushed the Vietnam build without pushing the others back. Then it'll be the 317 build, aka 3 of anything. I have 3 B-17s I plan to build for that. That's why I call it the 317 build. But 3 of anything. July 30th. Mustang build. Anything called Mustang. Car, horse, or plane. Then the Korean War build. The D-Day build. The Dream Car build. The Wild West build. And then we have a bunch of possible group ideas. Well, including possibly the That's Not Quite Right theme. And the box art build. And the seaplane build. Had some folks who want to do a seaplane build. So those are all in the future. I've come up with a few other ideas, but fortunately I forget them as fast as I post them. But right now, after Vietnam, it'll be the movie scene build. I actually already have a few submissions for that. And they even got, somebody even already sent me a Mustang build. I've got that Korean War P-51 that I'm going to do for the Korean War build. And of course we have the regular viewers builds. I am getting behind on stuff between work and all the stuff we're doing. I've managed to fall behind, so very likely these dates will get pushed back. Remember, this isn't a homework assignment, guys. This is all in good fun. We can push the dates back as much as we want. And if you miss the date for a group build, it's no big deal. Just submit it and it'll go in a regular viewers build. There is no standard. This isn't fine scale modeler where your model's got to be master quality. You just send me what you're building and that's what we'll put in there. There was a B-52 I got, and I almost put it in the Vietnam build, and then I realized, wait a minute, that was a late model B-52, so it went in the viewers build. So, I think viewers build 49 is the next one. But these things are done, you know, on a workload basis, how many pictures I get, how much time I have, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Sometimes they get a little bit rushed. But, you know, I just try to remind myself this is a hobby. I enjoy doing it. I love editing the videos and stuff. Have gotten to meet a lot of really cool people. Real quick, if you haven't been out to Media Master Designs, I think you guys might enjoy it, especially if you're movie and TV buffs. Dan Monroe does a lot of great work, and he does very slick professional videos. He's kind of in the, I think the
Yeah, his videos are really good.
yeah, I think he's in the music business, so he has. I mean, I'm a guy in his workshop using a handy cam or a cell phone. You know, he's actually got like a studio and it's really slick production. He's got an incredible delivery. I mean, he clearly rehearses this. Whereas I'm always going, you know, it's clearly amateur hour. His could be on TV. I'm very impressed with the quality of his work. And but I love the subject matter because he talks about what happened to old movie props. He actually owns some parts of old movie props, and so I think you guys will. I'm going to go watch his Gort video here after we're done here, or tomorrow maybe. But this is a fun channel. I don't monetize. Not that I haven't been rewarded by you guys. I have been rewarded plenty, but this is strictly for the fun of it. I love doing this, and I get to horse around. I don't have to worry about how many views I get because it doesn't matter. And the average video gets about 1,000 views over about a 3-day period, which is great and more than I ever expected. But if they don't, you know, sometimes I'll get one that only gets like 600 views. Oh, what did I do wrong with that one? But I'm like, you know what? Who cares? You know, folks want to watch it. That's cool. I'm just glad we can all get together and goof around for a couple hours. I will probably be changing the nights of the. This is a subject I did need to bring up. In the future, probably starting in March, I will probably be altering the nights that we have the live streams, because now that I've gone captain on the bus and don't have the seniority I used to enjoy, I can't guarantee getting weekends off. And I have tried to work my work schedule around this, but it's I hate to say it like this, but it's costing me trips that I could be flying that, you know, so I'm going to have to start focusing on my work schedule first and then work these nights. So I'll let you guys know what nights the live streams are going to be. And this is a hobby it's one I take pretty seriously, but it's still a hobby. So I have to start prioritizing, because I've had to pass up some pretty productive trips for, I got to be off Saturday night for the live stream. And I'm like, you know. That brings up a question real quick before we go. Is there any particular night that you guys would want the live stream on? Because I know some of the viewers are retired, and they can watch any night of the week. But I also know a lot of you have day jobs, and you don't want to stay up late at night watching this when you got to work the next day. So let me know what days of the week. You can email me, or you can put it here in the comment section. What days of the week would work for you, and I'll see what I can work out. But I'm thinking very possibly maybe Tuesdays or Wednesdays. Because I hate to say it like this, but the weekends are when a lot of stuff becomes available at my seniority. But I'm still going to shoot for Saturdays off. But, you know, things are getting a little flaky here in the future. But then again, the more people are coming into our base, so it's expanding. So as that happens, I'll get higher relative seniority and have a little more control over my schedule. Thursdays, that works for a lot of folks. And we'll see how it works out. Every month is different. You know, the computer generates this stuff, and you know, when I was the first officer, number 6 in base, I think I said, Max, you're not bidding trips, you're picking them. Like, I'll take that one and that one and that one and that one and ha 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 ha. And now I'm kind of like, oh, please, may I have this one, sir? 4 p.m. avocado time. Okay. Anytime. Still try Saturdays. Any night, plan your live stream around your work. Okay. Well, Wednesdays. Wednesdays are probably doable. We'll see. I don't want to make hollow promises, because you know, every once in a while you'll see a trip and like, oh, I've got to have that. And the problem is everyone else is thinking the same thing. And when I was super senior, that wasn't a big deal. I was super senior. But now...
Good Guy's Gun says, any night is fine. I'd ask Ken and Steve.
Well, no. Wednesday. Live?
Wednesday.
Okay. Well, we'll see how it pans out, and very likely it'll be a different day every week, so I'll just keep you posted. And we'll just make the best of it as we can.
It's like Wheel of Fortune.
What?
JW Rocket says, Max, if you stream it, they will come.
Live stream while you fly. What could possibly go wrong? There is one thing. I did think about. Okay, next Saturday there won't be a live stream because I'll be in Newark, and if everything is according to schedule, I have considered the possibility of trying to live stream off my iPad from the hotel. Now, if I do that, I will not be able to do the things I do here, like have an intro or have a bring up pictures. It will literally be like from my iPad or my cell phone in a hotel room, so it'll like just be on. And
But if you do it from Newark, we could watch you get mugged.
yeah, really.
That's right.
But we'll see how the day goes. If you guys want to try it, yeah, with R, yeah. Because I can't put a lot. The phone doesn't got the processing power, and the iPad's not mine, so I can give it a shot, but no promises, no guarantees. And
You should get your own iPad then.
yes, Ken, because that's one more thing for me to schlep around on the road. I do actually have my computer, but if I bring that, I mean, that's a lot to lug with me. I will be doing that for the trip later in February when Mike and I are supposed to do the live stream from the Santa Monica Museum of Flying, if that all works out.
You're
But,
a captain. You don't have staff?
You're looking at the chief cook and bottle washer. Well,
Somebody's has to fly the plane.
hey, do it from the Starliner. I thought about that. I actually thought about doing it from the TWA Starliner. I don't know how much of a connection I could get out there. And I did think about that, though. I actually did. And plus, I don't know if I wind up doing that. They may come in, what are you doing? I'm live streaming. You don't have permission to do that. I mean, it is New York, so.
Just like I want to go.
Did you get a buzz from the pina colada drink? Well, if half of the Patron hadn't gone down the side of the thing, maybe. But maybe a little one. But my tongue was sore. But anyway, licking a pineapple. Brilliant! Thank God they wash those things. Fly to the lucky four. Yeah, that's not how that works. But
Maybe from the Douglas boardroom.
well, that's what we're planning to do it from. At the Douglas boardroom table. That's the plan. That is where's my phone? Let's see.
Not a new time, just a new day.
Let's see. The one from with Mike from the Santa Monica Flying Museum of Flying with the Douglas boardroom table. I believe that is scheduled for Saturday the 24th. So
Ooh. Savage, he says you could interview your passengers.
yeah, I'm sure the company would love that one. They have their own PR department. Thank you.
Oh, I could see that. Max-planning, we could call it.
Max. A new word has just entered the lexicon, max-splaining. At things that I do half the time on this channel, like about the Tommy gun.
That would be better than jaywalking. Picture, you go down the aisle of the plane and you interview people with basic questions to see how dumb they really are.
Oh my God! Between Jay Leno and that guy Ari who does Ari something who does those things, it's terrifying. It's funny. Model builders are generally a very well-educated, informed group. Partly because we study the history of these things because we like to build them. We have an interest in it. But
whereas plane passengers are not.
What scared me was he was asking questions like when was World War II and who fought in the war. And don't get me wrong, I understand a lot of these are college students. They're young. They have not been taught history. But I mean, there's been enough movies out there. Who did we fight in World War II? And they're like, Al Qaeda. You know, I'm like,
That's pathetic that you're a college student and you can't answer that.
Hey, I blame the school system, not the student.
Educate yourself. There's things called books and online.
Yeah, it's, you know, too many people are stuck in the here and now. But you start to understand the absence of the learning of history is why so many people hold beliefs that a lot of us laugh at as being, you know, how can you hold this ludicrous, you know, opinion about something, whether it's economics or politics, and you realize because they have no history knowledge on which to draw. And sadly, I don't think that's entirely an accident. Civics, man. I took civics. I can't believe... I was shocked when I learned civics is no longer a course. Are you kidding? That's the core of our very society. Oh, well. And the lack of curiosity. You ain't wrong. The lack of curiosity.
And now it's TikTok.
Because that's informational. Rhonda says, Max, Steve, Ken, thanks for another entertaining live stream. Max, still planning for 16th February at Hurricane Hobbies, then JaxCon?
Yes, absolutely. I actually turned down a trip because I'm not letting anything get in the way of that. You know, money has value, but so does your time off and things you love to do. That's a balance between the two. And I plan to see, hopefully, Trey and Fran both Friday at Hurricane Hobbies. And then we'll all truck over and get the table set up at JaxCon. And then when they come to Hurricane Hobbies, I also hope to bring them over and show them the TARDIS, which I have to clean up because, you know, it's got to be... Because if they're going to take one look at that place and like, we know you did this for us because there's no way it looks like this on a daily basis. Or maybe I'll leave it the way it is and I'll go, I didn't know you had any hand grenades. Clearly one got loose in here. And that's been approved by High Command. And then we'll head off to JaxCon and then get the table set up. And we'll do whatever we do, and then we'll meet. And I hope they're milling around the next day because it's going to be nice to have someone relieve me at the table because I'll be there by myself. The only models I'm going to have for sale, I was thinking about taking a couple of my own personally that I had bought because I won't, like I say, I won't sell a gift, but I'll sell ones that I paid for. And I realize there's only one or two. Everything else is a gift. Which is a beautiful thing, by the way. Dan Monroe, who you were talking about? Uh-huh.
He's got a great video. What happened to Gort?
That's the one I'm going to go watch.
Yeah.
And
great.
Dan does. I mean, look. I realize there are a lot of people like Wendover Productions and Mustard and these other guys who do and in fact, a lot of them have stuff. What was it, Curiosity Stream or Nebula? A lot of them have channels on Nebula. Dan Monroe should probably open a Nebula channel because the quality of his the quality of his content is up there with it. And like us, he's a person who does what he does because he loves it. And I assume he's got a monetized channel, and I hope he's making something off of it. He also has done some music videos that are pretty good. One of my favorite songs is Johnny Cash's rendition of the song "Hurt," and he did a nice cover of it too. I believe it was he and his wife. Anyway, very talented guy, and he's. He does. I don't think he's a model builder like us, but he's one of us, in that he loves a lot of the same stuff: the movies, the magic, the monsters, and all that stuff. And he's just a natural for this. I'm impressed with his work, just like I'm impressed with the work that Mike Machat does, and so many of the guys, Trey, and so many of the others. And Trey, the thing I like about Trey's videos is he gives you these backgrounds before he talks about the model, and he just gets right into what happens. He's got his son helps him make the videos. He's got a good radio. He's good voiceover voice. And I'm one of the worst ones I know that does this because most of my stuff is not rehearsed. So I have a lot of ands and ums, and I actually edit a bunch of them out where I can because I don't realize I'm doing it when I'm doing it. That's like the chief complaint I get. And even I listen to them and go, my God, that's annoying. But there
you go.
But I'm usually throwing these things together. I'm trying to crank out 2 videos a day. I'm throwing them together without a script or anything. I'm just like, here's what happened today, boys. And it is what it is.
Uh,
But the beauty of YouTube is every one of us has our niche and our little outlet, and I see a lot of you guys in a lot of the same channels I watch, and a lot of us watch Mark Felton and a lot of these other channels, and I'm a Patreon for the World War II channel, Indian Idell, and it's just great. What do you? Ohms per minute. Yeah, really. I got to put a limit on this. And what it is is a verbalization of he's thinking. You know, he's trying to process his next thought, but he doesn't know how to shut his mouth in the meantime. Once the chainsaw's running, you know.
You don't have to keep on talking when your brain's not in gear.
Yeah, it's gotten me in more trouble. Not having a thought in my brain has never stopped my mouth from running.
Nope.
Ken can testify to that one.
Going and going. It's like your Energizer Bunny.
You better. You think your favorite? I've been everywhere. I've been everywhere. I love Jackson. I love Ring of Fire. I love Johnny Cash, and but I love a lot of musicians and a lot of. But
it's
anyway.
a toss up between I've been everywhere and On the Road Again.
Yeah, Willie Nelson. Yeah. Well, guys, that looks like we're at 8:58. We got 2 minutes left. It's pretty much time to wrap it up. I'll loop the outro so you can chat amongst each other. I'll let Ken and Steve say their goodbyes, and we'll sign off for the evening.
I hear the stomach rumbling.
What?
I hear the stomach rumbling.
Yes, that's exactly what you hear. That explains that minor vibration that's probably making it all the way down to Port Pierce.
I'm sorry, Steve. Go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for coming out. We had an enjoyable evening as always. And I know as you sleep tonight, you'll be thinking of that tiger head mounted on the wall that you could have if you built that shit. So
not of me chewing on a pineapple, huh?
Talk to you next week.
What did you say, Max?
I said not the image of me chewing on a pineapple.
Well, it's 6 of one, half dozen of another.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, Ken?
Oh, Max, you should reenact that and have somebody take a picture of you.
You know, it's funny that you put that up, because when I used to go to Puerto Rico for business, and I used to stay at the El San Juan, and there was a guy who had an old push Good Humor ice cream cart. Remember those?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and he would show up at the beach about 10 o'clock in the morning, and it would be filled with ice and filled with pineapples. People would come over to him, and he'd core the pineapple and put it on a paper plate and give them little toothpicks and charge them $5. And he would be done by like 12:30 and probably made $100.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, when I'm old and retired, that's what I'd like to do.
My pineapple push cart, baby. Well, guys. What?
And you work like 2 hours.
It's a good little side gig.
Got it.
Well, guys, I want to thank everyone for coming out to spend some time with us this evening. I hope you had a good time. Take care of yourselves, and as always, model on.